Welcome to Manifesting Through Motherhood. I'm your host, Lindsay Williams, a self-development mentor, entrepreneur and author, dedicated to helping busy mums like you manifest success, balance and create passive income on your terms. With years of experience in mindset, manifestation, fitness, parenting and business growth, I share simple yet powerful strategies to help you transform your life without the overwhelm. If you're ready to up-level your mindset, build a thriving business and create the life you truly deserve, you're in the right place. You can also find all my books on Amazon, packed with tools to help you manifest and grow. So don't forget to follow the podcast to be updated on all new episodes. And let's get going. Welcome back to the podcast. It's not just me today. We have a guest on, the lovely Sam from Sleep Solutions. We actually met last year and we did a bit of work together with the self-publishing side, and we are in a lot of similar groups, aren't we? So I was like, do you want to come on the podcast? Because obviously a lot of busy mums, and this is a perfect platform. And sleep is one thing we are very deprived of, aren't we? Even me as a 14-year-old, and he has got additional needs, so it doesn't mean he sleeps perfect. And I probably still feel like a little sleep deprived because I'm a worryful mother. So thank you for coming on the podcast. So I'll let you introduce yourself and how you got into the work that you do.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. So, my name is Sam, and I founded Sleep Solutions with Sam. I've always worked with families and children for as long as I can remember. And after I had my own little boy, obviously found the trials and tribulations of becoming a parent challenging, especially during the COVID days. And I really wouldn't say lost my way when I had him. I really found that I wanted to do something. You lose yourself, don't you, when you have children, and then you kind of want to find yourself again and what you want to do and your things, your priorities, and your outlook on life is different. And so I thought I just want to niche down into something that really interests me, and that was sleep, based on my own kind of experiences of a lack of sleep, and actually understanding there's lots of information out there. God, Google's like, my other half was very much at the time panicking. Are you going to Google it? Because I would just be really anxious, because you just don't know, do you? Just given this little person and off you go. You have to look on the back of a milk tub to actually find out how much to give them to milk, how much milk and stuff like that. So it was just a whole new world. And here I am now. We've navigated the sleep journey with our little boy, and I found so much about him and found that I was very good at it, and I became very obsessed with it. I used to be one of those parents that used to stare at the baby monitor and count on their fingers before I went to bed how many hours sleep I would be getting, and when do you think they'll next wake up. And I found all the things that helped him and helped us in turn with that, and used my skills basically to help other families. And here I am. I'm quite big on actually helping parents understand why they're facing the challenges, so almost like the cause, and understanding that why, so then they can obviously got those foundations to then move from, and understanding their child from a personality and temperament point of view, to be able to know how to best support them, instead of having those moments that we've all done where we chuck spaghetti to wall and hope that something sticks.
I just did a podcast topic on this, dots from spaghetti at the wall. And it's funny because before, I was nearly 28 when I had my son. So you know what it's like before you've got children, you can have a lie-in till 10, 12 o'clock. But as soon as you've had a child, and I breastfed, so I was up all night, which was fine. I'm self-employed. I had some time off. I was able to do that. But like my husband, he actually kept getting up with me, and he was back at work. And I said, you can sleep, it's like, I think he used to panic that I would fall asleep with him, because there's plenty of times where I'd put him back down and I'd wake up hallucinating, patting him like this on my shoulder, and then I screamed and I thought he'd dropped down the bed, and he's like, so he said, you used to worry me. I said, well, that's sleep deprivation. I always used to hallucinate because I was really tired. And you do like anything, like when you've had a night out and you've not gone to sleep the day after, it just builds up, doesn't it? I can see probably a lot of
Yeah.
women will struggle. And if they've got, I mean, I've only got one, but if you've got multiple children or you've got twins or quads or, like the sleep, you just wouldn't get any sleep. And I don't think I've ever slept, I would say, since I had my son. Like, I don't think I've ever slept normally because I still worry about him. And he's 14. I need to get a grip. So, how is your sleep now with your little Archie? Is your sleep improved more since he was a baby? What stages have you gone through together?
Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely has. I mean, now he's 6 years old. So we've done the whole feeding in the night. We've done the whole having to kind of walk around, bounce around, rock, all of that. With you name it, we did it all. Where I am now, and I would probably say I've been here now for maybe from about two, 2 years old, really confident in him. And I know we can all say that we all know our children. And of course we do. We're like the best person to know them, advocate for them and everything. But for me, when it came to sleep, because I learned so much about it and about him, I learned what he needed and how to support him with sleep and how to respond to him. So, when you move through those typical milestones where you go from a cot to a bed, and you go through those bedtime battles and those wakings in the night, those real key points where we know sleep is going to change. We know they're going to make developments and because of their growing and they're changing. But for me, it was about actually feeling more tuned in to what he needed. And I know we know what they need, but when it comes to sleep and actually their how to respond to them in terms of like their temperament, personality, once I hit that and learned about that for him, it just gave me so much clarity and I felt so empowered because I knew the decisions that I was making and what I was putting in place was helping him. It wasn't just a case of, like we've said, chucking spaghetti at a wall and hoping that something sticks. And but when you are in like the thick of it and the trenches, as they say, of sleep deprivation, it's so hard to be able to find those things, isn't it? And know what's the right thing to do. And you feel like you've tried everything. Um, so for me, by learning more about him, I was able to support him, not just through that one particular challenge that we were facing at the time. It was like looking at it as a whole.
Yeah, and it's hard, especially for women with PND. They are struggling. I've had friends that have struggled, and you're already struggling with your emotions and your mental health, and then you sleep, and then obviously if you're in a partnership with somebody, you've got to kind of stick together because obviously it always falls on like the female will probably be at home, and then obviously the partner has to sleep. So I have friends that sleep downstairs with the children, and my husband's like, absolutely no way, you're sleeping downstairs. Just he's fine. I'll just manage. I'm fine. And I don't know how because he's 10 years older than me. And yeah, I was like, I don't think you've ever slept properly since we had our son. And he's like, but a lot of it, I think you get unsolicited advice, I think, as a mum, a new mum. And I remember my health visitor said, do not listen to other people because my son never settled. And that, subsequently from that, yeah, I realised he's got a global delay, and that does make sense. A lot of the things now, with his sleep and how he is, and like he's scared of the dark, and he's still in pull-ups. He's 14 because he's not regulating fully yet. So I'm still like having a child. I'm still got like a baby in that, and he screams and shouts, but he does sleep when he's asleep. But he's very light sleeper, so you feel like you're winning sometimes, and then something happens, and then you're like, oh, you're back to square one again. But you kind of cope to be tired. But when you're a new mum, it is hard to, it's a big, when you've never got any, previous children, it's hard, isn't it? Because you're like, how am I going to manage thinking about going back to work as well. I bet you've had all these questions fired at you, haven't you, off parents?
Yeah, yeah. And like, how do I do this? What is the right thing to do? And like you said, you typically ask other people, and then people go, oh, we just did this, try that. And you're like,
You're
oh,
like,
no.
no, not fair.
And it's like, obviously, every child is completely different, and what works for one isn't going to work for another. And that's part of the journey, isn't it? It's finding those things that do help. Because yeah, I have a lot of mums that come to me probably around the 8 month mark, and they're now thinking about we're returning to work because we've got to, and I don't know how this is going to work. And I
Yeah.
I'm very open in the respect of, I very much put a focus on kind of connection and obviously understanding things like temperament, helping you through those really big milestones of sleep. Um, but I do work with just some families that actually want to overcome this particular challenge because it is kind of eating away at them, or they're going back to work and they will just want to be able to have some solid chunks of sleep. But I have some families that we've done that challenge, and then they've come back because actually they want to know more. They want to get one step ahead of what else is coming next. Because as we said, like it's ever changing.
Yeah, it's
And it's
not
just
linear because, like, when they go to nursery, when you go back to work, and I have friends that are nurses. I'm just picking out a nurse because she works
yeah,
early shifts, and she'll have to get my baby up at like 5:30 to take it to
yeah,
nursery. And I'm like, so should I'm having to change the sleep pattern of the child, having to adapt to my work?
do that.
The baby doesn't want to
Yeah,
get up at that time. So she's like, you've gone from doing this, and I'm having to swap it again. And then I feel like I'm not getting a lot of time with the baby, and I'm shattered. And then you're having to go to bed early, even though you don't want to. So no matter what we go through, like even when they come out, like you finish your breastfeeding or you get to that year where you go on cow's milk. I mean, my son used to sleep good when he was on milk before bed because it was heavy and he slept well. But then that changed, and
yeah,
it changed again when he went to school, and you're like, you constantly. Then he went to high school, and you're like, you're starting again, and people think, oh, well, he should be fine now. He's 14. I'm like, but you're forgetting, I've got a child with, a
yeah,
developmental delay. He's still like probably like a 10-year-old with certain aspects.
yeah,
And he was a little bit later, and they're like, oh, because kids like to, I mean, I loved at 14 lying in bed till 10, 11 o'clock if I could the next day. My son won't do that. He's up playing with toys at, well, probably about 7, 8 o'clock, not 5 o'clock, which I'm quite grateful that he doesn't get up at 5 anymore. But I know
yeah.
parents that children do get up at 5, and
Yeah,
they're older.
unless we have like demanding jobs and demanding careers, and like you've just said, like with a nurse, for example, a lot, I would probably say 70-80% of the families that I work with, they are either work in the education system or they're in they're in like that healthcare side of things. And they come to me and go, oh, well, I don't see how this is going to work. Like, we can't continue like this. It's been fine up until now because I've been off or I've been part-time, but I'm going back to work or I'm upping my hours. And they're, they're families that want to be in control. Like, they want to know what's coming. They want to be able to deal with what they've got. They want to be able to understand what is going on and why it's going on so they can move with it. So it creates less ripples effectively, as they grow and develop, because it's hard, isn't it? We've got, we're working full time, and if we're up 6 times in the night, I mean, I remember it, and it was only, to be fair, it was only like a short period of time. Um, but it's hard to do those 6 wake ups when you don't know how long you're going to be awake for those wake ups, then having to get up at 7 o'clock the next day to actually go and do your job. Um, it's really hard. It's a really big strain, and it kind of affects us, like you said, kind of emotionally. Like, our mental health can really take an impact on it. Um, and just even like physical, like I think I read somewhere whereby you're more likely to crash your car, for example, if you're
Mm.
sleep deprived, than if you were a drunk driver.
Because you hallucinate because you're that tired. You
Yeah,
feel like you
yeah,
do like see different things. What do you think? I know one thing was worse for me, but when I had my son, there was no video sleep monitors. There was just the audio. I think
yeah.
they can play a really bad part in. I mean, they're good because I would totally have one if I have another baby now. I would be there spying on it. But it, obviously, I'm such a helicopter parent. I'm not going to deny. I worry because I worry about my son having disabilities. So I would be constantly watching and then a little breath, a little, because his monitor used to go off all the time because he used to hold his breath and then we'd be both running in bedroom, pushing each other aside, thinking, oh, and then he's breathing because it was our first baby together. I'm like, oh God, what's going on here? And it drove me mad and I just couldn't sleep then because you're worrying about different things. What sat then I go in the blanket would be over his head and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to take this off. And
Do you know what? Yeah, and I think I'm I'm actually quite pro video kind of camera, as it were, because I think the pros to them outweighs the other one. I
yeah,
mean, like, yes,
definitely.
we didn't have them back in the day, as they
I
say.
didn't, my mum said back in the day, she went, you just shut the
Yeah,
door and you slept all night. I went, oh.
yeah. And I think my mum said the same. They were like, "Why do you need a monitor? They're there. You'd be able to hear them if they're crying. You're going to be able to hear them." Um, so, but I do like them because I think actually gives you that element of kind of feeling in control because actually you can look
Yeah.
at them, see what's going on, where is the brain, you can ensure that they're safe. You can kind of think, okay, do I need to go in yet? What are they
I know,
doing?
yeah.
Are they literally rattling around? Can you see that they haven't got their dummy in their mouth? And actually that's the reason why. Um, so I do think there's a place for them, absolutely. And I think I held on to mine for a long time, and it wasn't. Mother half at the time was like, honestly, we don't even need this anymore. I think we had it when he was about 2.5, and I was
I'd
like,
probably still have it now if
I
I could.
can't let go of it. Do you know what I used to do? Because I became like obviously a little bit obsessed with it. When he used to wake up in the night, I used to look at it and go, "Oh, okay, right, he's awake." Look at the time, and then you'd get him back off, and I would. You don't sleep, do you? Unless you are absolutely, utterly exhausted, the chances are you're not really going to fall into a decent quality sleep until your child has fallen back to sleep themselves. So I would watch that monitor until he fell asleep. And then the next day, I would know exactly how much sleep he's had. And that
Yeah.
just served me so well for like the next day in terms of just managing his sleep and what we were doing. Um, so yeah, I do think they're really good. It just helps you to not step in too quickly and just see, especially if they're learning to kind of self-settle and things like that and be able to um kind of soothe themselves. That's an ever-growing picture, we're all with their self-soothing like regulation. Do you know what I mean? It just
Yeah. And when you have a
continues.
baby, like the midwife, your health visitor, they tell you nothing. You just have this baby and then you're expected to go home and just, you don't get told anything about sleep. And when you think about it now, think, why didn't I ask loads of questions? But I think you expected, like, I should have known, but you don't know because
No.
you're
And
just
I
looking
think
after you.
Yeah, and you rely on that kind of professional, don't you, to be able to give you those things. So when you've just given this baby the first time, you're like, okay, what do I do? And then you put it in the bouncer, and then no, they're not allowed to sleep in the bouncer. Okay, get them
Can't
out the
sleep in a car
bouncer.
seat now, but I used to take mine out to work and he used to sleep in the car seat. But you're not allowed to do that now, are you?
Yeah, no, that's all I remember is like the car seat. They can't sleep in a bouncer, and they can't wear a hat inside. And I pretty much just got told the things that shouldn't happen on those sort of visits, and not like what to do. Or how to kind of cope, and some tips around you know sharing the load. Do you know what I mean? Yourself, because that's a
There
big
should be
thing.
more when you've had like the breastfeeding team come around, but sometimes you don't always see them either. And you can be hit and miss different experiences that spoke to different women about. But there is loads of myths, and you obviously get your older generation. Like my nan will pass it down, and my mum had me when she was like 17, completely different. There was no monitors or anything like that, and my mum was pretty straight to get to bed, and that was it. You didn't bother, you just went to sleep. But
she always tells me, I should be listening to this, like nodding, and she tells me off all the time. It's your fault he's like this. It's your fault he walks because he doesn't always like to sleep at my mum's, and then when he does, he won't go upstairs because their bedroom's downstairs, so she has to get a blow up bed and sleep in the front room. But I think a lot of that is because of his needs. His different things that he's got, like to settle. He needs me to still lie
Yeah.
in bed with him at night sometimes and tickle his back. But I shouldn't be doing that now. I should be able to say, off to bed. You're 15 this year, but he still wants me to cuddle him and tickle his back and soothe him to regulate him. And
Yeah.
then one
Yeah.
of us will do it, and then that's it. But then we're not getting any time on the evening together because he's going to bed between 9 and 10 now because he's nearly 15, but still acting like a baby in some respects. So
Hmm.
you probably have listeners here, probably still, if you've got children with additional needs, you're probably still in that early cycle of, sleep is probably doesn't feel much different for me. Like now, he won't just go out. I can't say to just go upstairs and go to bed because he'll start shouting and he'll drop in on the Alexa downstairs from his Alexa. Are you coming to tuck me in? Are you coming to do this?
Oh,
And then there could be some things thrown around the room I can hear. So just depending on his regulation. And I'm like,
yeah.
I said to him, you shouldn't be still doing this at this age. But he just smirks. So he knows he's got me wrapped around his little finger. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But I never
They
thought
all
I'd be going
do.
through this now. But I thought I'd go through this stage, the early stage. And I suppose it's like potty training and, mastering that sleep changes because you're supposed to get them out of bed to have a wee. But is that right? Is that a myth? Should you do that? I don't know. Like, I've tried everything.
It's so hard, isn't it? And I think, yeah, like we said, you know, there's a place, isn't there, for like routines. I think that's probably one of the things that everywhere does bang on about is having some element of routine in place to help with sleep. And the classic like bath, book, pajamas, bed, those sort of things. And those things are great and they will generally serve every single child, but some need more than that. And like what you said with your little boy, is that actually he probably needs more in terms of that connection time with yourself, maybe even sort of sensory sort of input to help him, because actually it's the settle, it's getting his brain to almost switch off.
Yeah, he starts conversations with me. So last night, went to bed. My husband worked till 10, coming out of 10. I said, you must go to bed. You can't wait for daddy. It's too late. But he still wasn't properly settled. And then turns over. We're watching this YouTube documentary thing at night about this little boy and his dad. And he absolutely loves it. Oh, it's Super Nanny the night after. He loves Super Nanny. And I said, look at Super Nanny. She gets some children to go to bed. But I said, you don't do it. But same thing because, he's suspected ADHD. So his mind is like, and he starts having a full conversation. I said, I'm going to leave the room. I'm not engaging. I'm going to lie you, but we're not talking. I will tickle you back. Then I will leave the room. And then I think he's asleep. It's one of them when you're little, when you try and sneak out the room. I get to
Yeah.
the landing. Where are you going? And I'm like,
Yes.
you've got to go to sleep. Don't turn that light off. So the landing light has to stay on even though he's got a lamp in his room, and I'm like, come on, this is getting ridiculous now. And then I just turn it off like later on, but he'll still shout, and I don't understand why he's not regulating himself because especially at this age, he's like same height as me, but he like reverts at night time back to a baby. It's really
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah. It's that kind of attachment, isn't it? In that
Self-soothing.
need for kind of comfort. And yeah, and if you think about it, like even he's been at school all day, he's not had you all day.
Yeah,
So actually that at night time is what he's trying to claw back from what he's missed out on the day. You might find that actually he's a little bit different at the weekends than he is in the week,
yeah,
perhaps because of that. And it's about tailoring what you need to do for your child. And it can be really hard, like for you, the likes of you and me, where we've just got one child. If you've got multiple children, I've had parents that are running from room to room just to try and get one of them asleep, so they can then shift the focus onto the other. And actually, how do you manage those sort of things and almost tag team where you're trying to do more than one child's bedtime at the same time? And it can be really tricky, but there's lots of different ways, and I support families. I think I do a course actually on blissful bedtimes, which just looks at why we're struggling at bedtime, what's causing that, to then actually look at your child's temperament, the sensory input that might be needed, and then look at all the challenges. Like, I fill my guide full of all the typical scenarios that we face when it comes to bedtime, introducing someone else, because in my house
I want to
I
say,
pretty
yeah, if
much,
you've got another baby and you have to share a room, that must be really
yeah,
hard because that other baby, the baby could wake the other child up and vice versa.
yeah,
So you're going to what, you just get really comfortable, then you bring another baby into the situation, then it like probably all just starts again. And no children are the same, are they? Like they're all going to be, some
no,
are great sleepers, some of my friends, they say, oh, my son goes to sleep at 6 o'clock, 6 in the morning. I'm like, oh, good for you. Like, I'm
yeah,
like, I went destined to
great,
that, have that. Yeah. And then obviously if you want to go to like grandparents and sleep, if you have got, people that can help you, then their grandparents are like nagging at you. Well, it's not asleep. My mum and dad, my dad especially, like he'll always say he's spoiled. Is this? And mum was like, leave him alone. And I'm like, yeah, maybe he is spoiled. Maybe it is my fault because
I
what happened
think,
was we had a loft conversion when he was little, and we had the bungalow converted, and then we had this room here was like our bedroom, and then we had to bring the cot here. So I think that through that, because I was starting to get him into a routine, and then he had to sleep with us, and then it became really mad then, and then we both went
but,
upstairs. So it all changed
but then
again.
I think, like, where we said earlier about the whole back in my day sort of thing, I think we've kind of, I think we have as a whole, not, I'm not talking about everybody, but we've moved away from this thought process, as it were, or way of doing things, in terms of, like, children should be seen, not heard. You just put them in a room and they'll cry themselves to sleep and things like that. And we're moving towards very much gentle parenting, effectively, and that's, I'm a gentle parent. I would say that. That's, I don't see that as a negative. I want to engage him. I want to listen to him. I want to give him some choices. Wants him to have that autonomy, but within my kind of remit, my sort of realms, as it were. And it's about responding to him and supporting him with his emotions and regulation and all of those sorts of things. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. It just also doesn't mean that you've made a rod for your own back, and it also doesn't mean that you can't do anything about the situations that you land yourself in, and that you face, because there's ways that you can make changes to something like sleep, so it works for you and your kind of parenting style. And I do, I work with some families who are very much, okay, I do want to sleep train. I want to know if that's doable for my child's temperament, if that's the right way I should go. But I also work with families who don't want to sleep train, and they just want to know more about their child and be able to put in some strategies and things like that to support their temperament, instead of going whole hog on just sleep training.
Yeah, you didn't have
So
education back then. Like there were people like yourself. There wasn't anything because 14 years ago, still there were. You'd have to find it through the NHS, and then you'd wait for like 12 months, and then you were too late by the time you were waiting for
yeah,
this information. There wasn't really anything on Google. There wasn't coaches. There
yeah,
wasn't anything really, was there? I mean, that was only 14, 15 years ago. It's come on a long way. So people have got more resources now, and people like yourself that
yeah,
can take people through that journey. And then people might have more children later on that they'll think, right, I'm going to go back to Sam now, get some more
yeah,
information because times do change. And we do look at, like you say, the past can really, because we think that we should be I have it in my head that people have said to me, he should be in bed, he shouldn't be waking up. But then I think, well, I can't make, he's not a robot. I can't make this
yeah,
child be cruel and let him scream his head. I've tried letting him cry, but we feel guilty as anything. We had to come pick him up and he's made himself sick. So that's because people have been telling me, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And
yeah. And I
that hasn't
think,
been the right advice for me.
no, and I think, like, again, back in the day, it was like, well, that's what we did, and that's how it was. And we've got a bit more. And I think, I don't know whether mums have got a bit more kind of confident with it. I don't know, but we're very much
Yeah.
like, I'm not okay with that. Actually, I'm not okay with listening to them cry. And I hated that. Like, my actual other half was like, just let him cry. And I'd be like, I can't, because do you know what? I know for him that would impact in the night. So
Yeah.
I could do that, and I'd hate it. But I know that when he woke up in the night, we would have a rough night because of that. Because he fell asleep, not feeling secure, not feeling like,
And he'd be
what's the best
clingy the
word?
day after, and then it impacted
Yeah,
nursery school in the day
yeah.
and that night after. If you had to change something, if you knew something now, what would it be? If you could tell yourself before you had Archie, what would be anything you'd say, or would you just do everything completely the same, like as a journey?
I think, do you know, and again, it's like a double edge here. So one thing that I would do, and it's one thing that I tell everybody to do, is to actually, when you are pregnant, you're expecting, we go to all these lovely baby shows, we look at all these lovely little gadgets and all sorts that are going on. And I bought some little gadgets when I had Archie, and some of them have served me well, others absolutely waste of time and money. But if I could speak to myself 6 years ago, I would have said invest in services, not
Yeah.
stuff. Like, actually empower you as a parent, because you're going to lose confidence because you're knackered and because you've got this little person that you've got to keep alive. So your confidence is going to be like really rocked. And actually invest in yourself. Whether that's learning about sleep, whether that's about hypnobirthing before you've had your baby, put yourself in the best possible position to help you along your journey. Don't just buy, I don't know, a rocking rocker, like a bouncer that moves.
I had everything
Like, just,
vibrating, and yeah, my husband always
yeah,
says to me, because we had a really nice health visitor, and he said he always remembers her, and we still talk about it now because we always have to remind ourselves. He always says, "Don't fit your life around this baby. Let that baby fit into your life, and your marriage will be fine." And I thought, well, that was a bit of a thing. And like, tonight he's got a youth club, horse six, like it's an SEN club, and like he's like, "Are we gonna have some time together?" Because he's been working all weekend. I'm like, "Yeah, we'll just cook a meal." So we drop him off, which is around the corner. And if we don't have time, he's like, "Do you remember what that health visitor said? Might not be a lot of time we get together, just us, because he's
yeah,
constantly like butting in all the time. Can't have a conversation, we forget what we're saying." But it's funny, isn't it? Like you do, you kind of like it can jeopardize it makes and breaks relationships. I've had different mums doing that because you're not always going to be on the same side, because we do tend to, our partners were like, "You don't get what we're talking about, you're not listening." Because I think men can have, if it's a female male, in that relationship, men are just like, "Yeah, I'm just going to carry on." But we can like have that a little bit more of emotional side.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and that's what it can go on to. So I think I always say to people that make sure you've got time for you if you're in a partnership. I mean, my mum had me, she put me up on her own, until she met my stepdad. But other than that, my mum said, you're having a completely different upbringing to me. You've got a husband, he helps you. He actually helps. Not a lot of my friends' husbands don't even do nappies, and I'm like, what do you? I get really mad. I go, what do you mean they don't do this and they don't get up in the night? They're like, oh, my husband's never got up in the night. I went, are you joking? Oh yeah, I have to ask him to babysit, and I'm like, come on, ladies. Like me, I get like all agitated with him. Like, come on, you've got to have some time. Go and get your nails done. Let's go and get a massage. So I always like you encourage self-care and
yeah.
book things for yourself, like massage. I mean, I didn't have any pregnancy massages. I do regret not having one of those, but I don't think they were in there.
I think I did. I think I had something on my feet or something like that when I was literally at the end of like my tether. I was like, get this baby out of me. But I did, obviously I knew, well, I did hypnobirthing, and that really helped me. There was a lot, I hadn't tapped into it by any means, um but yeah, I just think it's about investing in yourself. Like, you are just as important in this process as your baby, and your baby can manage without you and the lamb, for goodness sake. Like,
It's
don't
connections
give
and
you and the lamb in
friendships.
our lives.
It's connections.
Yeah,
I love going to massage groups, baby groups. I did it all. I missed it when I went to school, but I met new mums that I'm friends with now still. They maybe have had other children since. And it's talking to someone, having that, you always find your person, don't you, to talk to
Yeah.
and relay and chat. And sometimes it's just talk therapy as a mum, talk about sleep. That other person might have gone through it. And then you've got people like yourself that families can work with you. Do you predominantly work on Zoom? Do you work through courses
Yeah.
and one-to-ones with families? So that's brilliant because you
Yeah.
don't have to, they don't have the time to go to appointments. We all hate going to appointments. To
Mhm.
work on Zoom, you can physically see the child. You could even go and see the bedroom, couldn't you, with your Zoom? I'm guessing
Yeah.
you could say,
Yeah.
"Can you show me the room? Let's do a bit of feng shui in the, in the nursery." I'm guessing you've done it all.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's and it's about working with that family, and how that I can say, well, actually, this your child is really kind of showing traits of being really laid back, really easygoing, but actually you've not got those elements of the routine in place that are really going to help you as a whole, as a family unit. And then pairing that with the parents and the parenting style of what you're wanting to do, what you're, when we go back to the whole crying, things like that, actually, what is your level? Where are you at with that? Because ultimately, I want to empower these parents, and I want to show them that change is possible. You've got to be in the right mindset for it. You've got to be really ready for it. But at no point do I want to set them up to fail, because that wouldn't help them, and that would do an absolute disservice to my business and what I'm about. But yeah, I think it's about finding that balance. And I think if you can, like, we all know when you're on maternity leave, chances are financially it's a little bit tricky, it's a little bit difficult. And actually, if you can invest before that point, then I would absolutely suggest to my former self and to everybody else to do that.
And do you
um
find a lot of people, parents, or there's a lot more, like to me, it seems a lot more, because maybe I'm in that autism world, that more people are looking at sleep and not realizing, because obviously I knew there was something, I knew my child was different, but I didn't know because you can't get a diagnosis at that age. But that can be completely, with the sleep, it's like more regulation, more sleeping, but people don't know. And they're thinking it's them, it's their fault, but actually, you
yeah,
kind of know sometimes. My friends sort of knew non-verbal straight away with their children, so you're kind of in the loops. You kind of under no illusion with how life's going to go, but not everybody will understand that. A lot of people can be ignorant towards autism, and some people that will not accept that's what could be. I was very accepting that there's something different, but I didn't know what, because he started speaking early and he went through milestones quick, but then other ones didn't. Then he regressed a bit.
yeah,
So we kind of knew, but we didn't know what until he was like 4. And then
yeah,
obviously my childminder, which is a family friend, she was the first person that said, "I think he's dyspraxic," because she had, compared to the other children, "I don't want to upset you." And I was like, "No, no, you're a friend. I want you to tell me." I knew there was something, but nobody would ever tell me anything. So
yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah. And I think when it comes to kind of, you've got children who do have those kind of additional needs, like I cover, my temperament, literally, there's the course that I'm putting together right now, and we talk about temperament, the traits and how that looks, and also the sensory elements of it. Because actually sensory, I think when people say sensory or hear the word sensory, they automatically assume that that's for children who have additional needs and need the extra support. And actually it's not. It's everybody has some sort of sensory needs, um or even down to kind of restlessness in bed, like twitchy legs, or just moving around a lot, if they're doing somersaults in their bed. There's lots of things that you can do before bed and in bed to support that. Doesn't necessarily mean there's more to it. Again, it's about actually just finding things that work, and working through that.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, I love it. Temperament is my favorite topic when it
If
comes to
people want to
sleep.
work with
Hands
you,
down.
do you recommend just like a one-to-one to begin with and like talk through like all the concerns, and then do you do like courses, and or just people just book as and when? I suppose people will
Yeah.
maybe just ring you that week desperate. I can imagine saying, can we do a coaching call? Can we do an hour? Like if you can just, yeah, like you say, you've got to invest in a coach. But I would have done that back then if I'd have had somebody, because I would have, I would rather have done that to help me with my some of his additional needs, but there wasn't, you've got to fight for your children. I've known this. I've got to fight for an education healthcare plan and know about education healthcare plans. Didn't know that 15 years ago,
Yeah.
but I can help other mums now talking about them. And they're like, oh, what's that? And I'm like, well, will help your child till it's 25. And they're like, wow. So you can get that from quite an early age.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I have a lot. So I offer kind of transformation calls. So we can just jump on a quick free call just to understand a little bit more about what's going on and if I'm the right person to help you, because it's about finding that person that you can relate to, that that you like them, that you trust them, all of those sorts of things. And seeing if there's something that I can help you with. And then I offer obviously like a little troubleshoot call. So if you're kind of facing things like early rising, or you're not sure if your schedule's right and what you're doing, just a bit of reassurance even, which quite often what people do. They're like, we've done X, Y, and Z, but we're not sure if that's the right thing to do. So the troubleshoot call is a great one. And then I offer the one-to-one consultations, which come with a full-blown kind of sleep plan, and then a coaching element as well. So I'm in your pocket effectively for at least 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. There's different options.
Yeah, but it's
And then
amazing when
there's the
people say,
courses.
I've done this and I've used your strategy and it's worked. That must be a really good feeling. You're like, and that
Yeah.
helps you, like from Archie being 0 to 6. You probably know more about sleep to help people with 6-year-olds, don't you now? Like you're not just using with
Yeah.
babies
Yeah.
now. Your experience
Yeah.
goes further, and you
Yeah.
can go that wider. And maybe when he gets to a teenager, you might work with teens. I
I
don't know.
know. Yeah.
It's just a nice feeling to be able to help, especially mums. Like I have mums that come in, I have a salon at home, they come in, I have mums or new babies and they bring the babies to the salon. Like, can I bring my baby? Of course. They're like, I need childcare. I went, just bring the baby. It doesn't matter, I'll block a bit more time out. Obviously, they come for a massage. I'm like, try and get some,
Yeah.
self-care, like, but they have come with a carry cot before, and I'm like, it's fine, I'll grab them. And it's like when my friend had my eyelash girl, she had a baby, and I remember I could tell she needs to get back to work, and I remember having a baby on my chest, and I was like, and I had my eyelashes in the thing, and I was like, and like she just settled really well, and then she took her off me, and I could tell she was getting all pent up. I'm like, don't worry, it's me, like, you know me, don't worry. But not every client's like that, but I am, because I used to take my son to work with me as a favour doing hairdressing. And yeah, they knew if they want the hair doing, they have to have a baby.
Yeah.
His husband was working, like it's just life, innit? There's people are a bit more accommodating now, aren't they?
Yeah.
But it must be really rewarding what you do and help people. And yeah, it's that feedback is always nice off people, and referrals as well. You must get people that refer you. And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love it. And even like I think Archie took one of our books to school, and showed his teacher on World Book Day it was. And he was telling him, oh, my mummy helps babies to sleep. And did you do this with me, mummy? Is this what you did with me? Which is nice because I love that. It's him showing an interest and actually seeing his mum do something. Like he's on, oh my God, he's on like every flyer, every like your banner behind you, he's on all of
yeah,
them. Yeah, he's part of the journey. And it's because I want to show him that he can do whatever he wants to do. But there's things that are really important, such as sleep, and he knows that because he's incredibly good at going to bed. Don't get me wrong, he has his moments where he pushes it, and if we miss the window, then it gets a little bit like, but for whatever reason, but he knows how important it is to have sleep,
yeah.
which I just think is incredible for a 6-year-old.
Are you going to do? So Sam did my self-publishing masterclass, and you did your book. Was it for
Yeah.
Christmas? Was it for a family member?
I did
I have it somewhere. It must be in, I think
yeah.
Harry took it in his bedroom. He pinched off with it. But we need to do another. We need to get you
I
another one
do.
out.
I did say, yeah, so I've done a storybook and I've created a sleep diary as well.
Well,
So but yeah, I do want to do like another little sequel to my story.
I always say
Yeah.
to people like with books and stuff, like even if you don't sell loads on Amazon, but you like as a coach, you can offer that as part of your package.
Yeah.
If you sign like a parent going to sign up to me, I'm going to send you a copy, put it within the price of my book, and then they've got that tangible product that like you could do. Like we're going to work on sleep deprivation, say this week, or regulation, and then you could actually this is your physical book. You send it to them, and they can work through this book. This is
Yeah.
proof. This is for them. Then they will show their friends. Then like I want one of them books, and then that's how it like catapults. People don't see the bigger picture with self-publishing. They just think tech, 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 and I'm like, you've just got to just do it. And I just practice doing them. Like I create books, just journals and planners. Instead of me buying them, I'll just create one for myself. And
Yeah.
obviously my big book elevated my podcasting business, and I ended up creating a business out of it. I didn't mean to start teaching people. People's like, can you do a course? And I'm like, and now I do one-to-ones and courses and masterclasses, and that's how your business evolved, because
Yeah.
you know that you're helping people, and it's lovely to see people publishing books. And your books need to be out there, don't they? You can start to visualize, your
Yeah.
book, your brand is on that book, and
Yeah.
never shy.
I've
Says,
got so many different ideas of
I
books.
can
I'm literally
imagine. I have for you. I've got
in
loads
the
of ideas
notes of my
for you.
phone. Yeah.
But it's just doing it into, like you say, if you are, when you're busy and you've still got a young child, it's that time in the day to
It's the
think, right,
time, isn't it? Yeah.
to do. I keep thinking I'm going to do different journals and different planners. But yeah, but I'm going to put all the links in the show notes. Is there anything else that we haven't covered? I mean, I probably could speak like all day and about different things, but I want people to, if you are struggling to work with Sam, go and look at, sign up to your newsletters and everything that you've got. I'm going
Yeah.
to put everything in the show notes. Like, don't be afraid, I say to people, to ask for help. Like, no one's judging when you ask for help, because you're not asking for help. You're another parent to another parent. It's just saying, can you give me some of your strategies that will help me? People are always scared of like, I don't like to bug you, and I'm like, why are you bugging me? Like, but parents do, because I think we get that response from our doctors, don't we? Sometimes, like we get nowhere sometimes. But coaches online, they're instant, aren't they? You're gonna
Yeah.
get more
Yeah.
for what you do.
Yeah. And also like life's busy, isn't it? Like I speak to so many mums who I'll message and then they'll like a couple of weeks later, I'm like, check in with them. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't message you back. I'm like, it's fine. Like, I know.
I do voice notes, so I do you voice notes. I'm always like a 10-minute voice note. It's like, oh God, here we go. Because I do, I just think, right, I need to speak. And it's
Yeah.
a good way, I think, to catch up. A lot of mums that I coach that will voice note and then they'll forget, and then I help different people do the books and stuff. So we just do a quick voice note. It's quicker, isn't it? It's easier.
Yeah.
You see people do it like doing I've had one woman message who was giving a child a bath, and I could voice note in the background, because you've got to multitask, haven't we,
Yeah.
sometimes?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but it's been great having you. Is there anything else you want to add, or any tips? I think we'll be here all day, won't we, talking? We'll probably go off on a
Word.
tangent.
Yeah. No, obviously, I went through kind of my services, how I help families and things like that. I'm just very big on tuning in. So if you're out there and you're kind of thinking, I just want to know a little bit more, because the challenges with sleep come and they go and they pass and then more come, and I spoke to someone the other day who was saying, I don't just want to help, I want to help people solve a challenge that they're facing right now. But I know that in 2 months, 3 months' time, they'll have another one. And, yeah, I'd love them to come back. But actually, I want to be able to support them through those. And actually, for me, that's really understanding those root causes, why things are happening, how you support your child, because that will serve you longer term, and give you the confidence. It's empowering you to be the best that you can be, so you feel in control and feel organized on a day-to-day basis to be able to navigate it. So that's where I'm at really in terms of how I help families. And lots of different services and lots of different courses, more courses and guides coming soon, to be able to support you through the journey. But yeah, my transformation calls are free. So if anybody wants a quick call to just knock around any ideas, see how I could help, then you can book one of those free. Just drop me a message. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. And yeah, that's me.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I'll put all your links in the show notes. And yeah, there's always people listening to the new listeners all the time, about existing listeners. People will always keep listening because we're always going to get new people from all over the world, from like over 35 countries that listen to the podcast. And I'm like, I don't know where these countries are. It's funny because I listen to podcasts. That's one of my regulations is listening and is stimulation, audio. And for bed, I always have to have something in my ear. I need a podcast. There's somebody talking to me all the time. But yeah, podcasts are great for your line of work and things like that, aren't these? Information all the time. But yeah, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's been a pleasure. Yeah, so I'll put all the links in the show notes so you can contact and follow Sam direct. And yeah, thanks for coming on. I will let you get on. I know you're a busy mum, so I will let you get on with your day and I will stop the recording. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you feel inspired to take action and manifest the life you deserve. Don't forget to come and join me over on social media and Instagram at Busy Mums Fitness Corner for more tips, motivation and behind the scenes. And also be sure to check out my books on Amazon. They're designed to help you manifest your dreams and grow. And if you're ready to take the next step and work with me, you can head over to my linktree for all the details. Let's make magic happen together. So until next time, keep manifesting and stay amazing.